Hey everyone, I'm meteorologist Joe Murgo. It is Wednesday. That means another edition of That's Cool, and boy, do I have something really cool for you. How about telling you where in the world you can find this? Yes, big ships that are found on a desert. There's a lot of them. This is just some photos of what is now on the Aral Sea. Or was the Aral Sea, that is. This is a lake. It used to be the fourth largest lake in the world. It is in where the former Soviet Union was, and I'll say why I'm saying it that way too, and is on the border between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Yes, those are hard to get out for me. All right, so what happened to this lake? Well, let me just go ahead and show you two images here, 1989 to 2008. And this shows you a lake that was immense, had a huge fishing industry, and now is mostly a desert region. It was always surrounded by desert. But what happened was, and this started in 1960 on what was once the fourth largest lake in the world, and it is a lake, and it was the Aral Sea. Actually means Sea of Islands. There were 1,100 islands that dotted the waters on this large sea. And in 1960, the Soviet Union, which is in this region right here, well, they started to take the rivers that fed this sea, and it was an inland sea, inland lake. There was no outflow. It was just inflow from two rivers. They were taking those rivers, and they formed large cotton crops. And slowly, the amount of water going into the lake, well, started to diminish. And what was a big inland sea, even in the 80s, is almost not there. Here's a good series of photos. This is from NASA. MODIS satellite. And you could see from 2000 to 2002, 2004, once it was a big, immense lake. And you could see on the outline on this image here where it was around 1960. Now, we don't have satellite images because, well, there were no satellites back then. And then when the water stopped coming in as much, and you still had evaporation, and you're removing from irrigation, the water started to evaporate away. There was not as much water in there, and they started to lose. So in 2000 to 2002 to 2004, 2006, 2008, it was split into two lakes, and then pretty much just one. And actually, I should say three, because you have the northern Aral that is still there. And you can see in 2014, 2015, there was nothing left but arid ground. And with arid ground instead of water, the region was hotter, which then allowed for more evaporation. So this was a feedback that the fourth largest lake in the world just disappeared. And when you evaporate water, what gets left behind? The minerals. So the water became saltier, and then all the fishing vessels, well, there were no more fish. Not even before the water was gone, the fish started to die off because a smaller lake had more salinity to it. So it became saltier. So this was a major disaster. And again, it all started by diverting the water from those rivers. And the Soviet Union at that time became what is known as a major cotton producer because of that. And now you have an area that was once an inland sea is now called the Aralkum Desert. It is now, the eastern side is a desert. So in 2005, if you notice, from 2006 to 2010, all of a sudden the northern part started to get a little deeper again. And the reason why is they made a dam, and that's allowing water to collect there. So they're pretty much giving up on the southern parts of the sea, and you're starting to get more fresh water, which is going to bring back the fishing industry. So this is a really cool story that now you can go and visit and see pretty much a ship graveyard in the middle of a desert. And we learned a lot from this across the world, so that's something to keep an eye on. And there are other lakes in the world that are going through similar things, but this was known as a huge disaster. All right, so that's today's edition of That's Cool. And on our web story that you're probably seeing this on, I do have links to some great videos and other stories about this Aral Lake, because it is really cool, the story. If you have any suggestions that you want me to cover, go ahead and email it to me at murgo@wtajtv.com. I'll see you again next Wednesday.